90 in the army. Threatened to dismiss me each time he see me. He injects me, come to my room to inject me, my own apartment, come to my own beer to inject me, send some boys to my house. If I'm lying, I have all evidence. I have evidence in this thing, and I have witnesses. Come to my house to inject me. He also stigmatized that I have mental illness. Each time I try to expose me, or each time any small person, any small officer trying to intervene, he will tell me that I have mental illness. You go to DOA, you are about to body out. You go to DOA 3 good times for body out of army. You freeze my account for 1 year. You freeze my account for every assets in date, no salary. I tried to some senior officers. I wrote a petition using section 179 of the Armed Forces Act. I've done so many, I've seen so many officers, senior officers, junior officers from interview, but none of them is giving me this way. But when anyone who's trying to interview, you don't have any kindness. The day he locked me, he almost raped me. When they caught him and he said, I have mental illness, he took me to psychiatrist, but he wanted to lock me up there. He locked me up there 1 good month without any medication.
Well, this is such a sad story written by Ayo and Fly. She's mentioned a lot of things. She cited, mental health issues. Her superiors accusing her of being unstable. She also mentioned the fact that, she hasn't gotten a salary, by a year. I think it's very important that I highlighted this story because it came out last week and the Nigerian army has not responded yet. I know that the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Manahaye, has called on the Nigerian army to respond to these allegations. We hope that we get something from the army.
Distinguished members of the press, thank you.
I would like to welcome all the senior officers who are here seated, and of course, our members of the press, to this all-important press conference, where we need to bring you up to date on the investigations about the allegations that were thrown against Colonel Ishiaku Abdulkareem by ex-private Ruth Ogunleye. When that allegation hit the media space, we told the world, we told Nigerians that we are clearly going to ensure that we investigate the allegations and we will get back to the public. And that is why we are here today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Today, the Nigerian army deems it necessary to address a series of grave allegations against Colonel Ishiaku Abdulkareem. Of course, those allegations concern issues like sexual harassment, cyberbullying, and of course, defamatory behavior. Not only Colonel Abdulkareem is involved in this issue. There are other senior officers who were alleged to have conducted, sorry for that interruption, please. There were other senior officers that were alleged by ex-private Ruth Ogunleye to have sexually harassed her, intimidated her, and subjected her to trauma in the course of her service. This individual, ladies and gentlemen, has been relentless in her online campaign against Colonel Abdulkareem, a matter that the army can no longer overlook. Let me begin by clearly stating that the Nigerian army is a professional force committed to the highest standards of discipline, integrity, and accountability. It is guided by rules and regulations that ensure every officer and soldier operate within the framework of respect for human rights, and due process. In line with this, the Nigerian Army takes every accusation leveled against its personnel seriously and has established procedures to investigate any claim made against its personnel. The case of ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye, who claims to be a former subordinate of Colonel Ishiaku Abdulkareem at the Nigerian Army Medical Corps headquarters in Lagos, is no exception to our commitment to due process. Upon receipt of her initial complaint, which included allegations of sexual harassment, the Nigerian Army took immediate action. The matter was referred to the Nigerian Army Corps of Military Police and tasked with conducting thorough investigation into the veracity of her claims. The investigation was conducted in line with established protocols, with every effort made to ensure a fair and impartial process. It is crucial to assert that the Nigerian Army, in its bid to ensure justice and transparency, conducted an exhaustive review of the facts, testimonies, and evidence presented. The investigation concluded that Colonel Ishiaku Abdulkareem did not commit the offense of sexual harassment as alleged by ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye. The findings were definitive and based on objective evaluation of the available information. The Army maintains that Colonel Ishiaku Abdulkareem is a disciplined, regimented, and firm officer who has upheld the values of the Nigerian Army throughout his service. Suffice to mention, ladies and gentlemen, that ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye had been recommended for discharge on medical grounds since 2022. But the Nigerian Army, being sympathetic to its own, thought it wise to give her the best medical treatment possible, stabilize her before discharging her into the wider society. Hence, while the Army was addressing the allegations of sexual harassment, further concerns about Ruth Ogunleye's conduct came to light. Her behavior, both online and offline, raised questions about her worsening mental health and emotional stability. Consequently, the Nigerian Army referred ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye for medical evaluation at the National Hospital in Abuja, following earlier assessments made by the Nigerian Army Medical Corps that suggested potential mental health concerns. This decision was taken to safeguard her well-being and to ensure that any action taken by the Nigerian Army was informed by a comprehensive understanding of her condition as advised by trained professionals. The medical evaluation confirmed that ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye was suffering from a condition that made her medically vulnerable. In light of this, the Nigerian Army, while fully capable of proceeding with disciplinary action for her acts of indiscipline and misconduct, opted to exercise compassion and leniency. Based on the medical report from the National Hospital and the advice of the Nigerian Army Medical Corps, the decision was made to shelve any disciplinary procedures that could have been brought against her. Instead, the Army prioritized her health, understanding that she was in no position to continue with military service. She was subsequently boarded and discharged from service. I will show you in the course of this briefing her discharge certificate. Further to this, ladies and gentlemen, though ex-Private Ruth did not serve up to pensionable years of service, which is 10 years, she has nonetheless been discharged from the Nigerian Army with 50% disability claim, meaning she will receive a 50% monthly pension for life. She has also been paid her terminal leave allowance and terminal parking allowance, as well as her contributions to Nigerian Army Welfare Insurance Scheme, also known as NAWIS, and Benevolent Fund, also known as BenFund. The payments were made on 14 August 2024 into her FCMB account. Her security debarment allowance for the period she served, which is 5 years, 54 days, has also been paid. The decision for her discharge, ladies and gentlemen, was reached following her rejection of offer of medical treatment either from the National Hospital and the Nigerian Army. Despite this, ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye has continued to propagate false narratives against Colonel Abdulkareem and other senior officers, using online platforms to engage in cyberbullying and defamation. This sustained campaign has become egregious misuse of her condition to garner attention, gain traffic on her social media handles, and disparage the reputation of the senior officers and the Nigerian Army in general. It is important to state unequivocally that the Nigerian Army will not tolerate the defamation of its officers, particularly when it is based on falsehood and driven by ulterior motives. While we remain empathetic to ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye's medical condition, we must categorically reject the continued defamation of Colonel Abdulkareem and the denigration of the Nigerian Army. The Nigerian Army has done everything within its power to address her concerns through the appropriate channels, and investigative findings have cleared Colonel Abdulkareem of any wrongdoing. We caution the public to treat her allegations as baseless and without merit, given her established condition. The Nigerian Army stands firm in its commitment to maintaining discipline and order within its rank. Colonel I.B. Abdulkareem is a dedicated officer who has served our nation with honor and distinction. While we remain committed to providing care and support to former personnel like ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye, we will not allow our personnel to be maligned or subjected to unwarranted attacks. It must be emphasized that the Nigerian Army, as a professional national institution, has exhaustively exercised institutional restraint and decorum over this matter in order to allow for thorough, transparent, and impartial investigation, as well as medical evaluation to unravel the allegations. The Nigerian Army, therefore, wishes to state that it operates with high standards of professionalism and takes the welfare of its personnel very seriously, as well as handle all allegations with the seriousness they deserve. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Yes, I would like to show you a number of documents here. Here we have the discharge certificate of ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye. We also have reports from the National Hospital about her mental health. So if you have questions, you could please proceed with them. Thank you. Investigation without involving the parties who are aggrieved or those who are alleged in the course of the investigation. So definitely, Ruth Ogunleye was brought to Abuja here, where she had an interaction with the investigators. And when she was taken to National Hospital, I actually went there with the Minister of Women Affairs, and I saw her. In the course of my press briefing, that recommendation was based on the findings about her medical health, or mental health, so to speak. And like I mentioned, the Army, being empathetic to its own, decided to say, okay, let us administer treatment. Let us give treatments to this lady, rather than just throw her out or ease her out. And that was exactly why she remained in the system, and attempts were being made to ensure that she was restored to normalcy and continue in service. Ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye was not dismissed. She was discharged. Okay, so you need to get that right. Now, the fact that she had a mental issue, medical issue, so to speak, made it look like, okay, we don't want to throw this person out. So we need to do what? To intervene by doing what? Getting her treated. In the course of this treatment, we had to send her for medical evaluation. In the course of the medical evaluation, the investigation was equally going on. This made it to take some few months before we came up with this response. We couldn't have just, considering her status, we couldn't, like I told you, I went to the National Hospital. I was there with the minister when she visited, the Minister of Women Affairs when she visited, and I even interacted with her. Okay? So we had to take time. If you want to be thorough about investigations, grievous allegations have been made about sexual harassment, about intimidation, about being locked up, about being abused, about threat to life, and you think it should take just 2 months or 3 months? Parties have to be involved. Parties have to be investigated, have to be questioned. All the parties involved have to be invited. They have to be scrutinized. Okay? So investigation is not what you do haphazardly and throw out reports. No. I think we have been very, like I said, we have exercised very serious institutional restraints and decorum in handling this matter. That is why the Army only responded by telling the public at the initial stage that we are going to look into these grievous allegations and, of course, do what? Investigate. Today, we have arrived at that juncture, and we are bringing it back to the public. I think you should commend the Nigerian Army for this, please. Thank you. We have, it is a standing policy. We have our harmonized terms and conditions of service for officers and for soldiers, where everything is documented. If you want to see it at the end of this meeting, I will show you a copy of it and show you the exact section where it mentions that those who, they call it disability. So if you have, for instance, if you have been listening to some programs on the radio, you find out that there was a soldier that said he was amputated and was not properly administered in terms of the disability payment. And I was called upon. I attended to it immediately. I brought him before the Chief of Administration, and the authorities quickly looked at it, and they saw that his claim was correct. It was wrongly calculated, and we addressed it and made the payment. Ruth Ogunleye has a serious issue here, a medical issue here. And we feel that as she being one of our own, we cannot just throw her out into the larger society. What do we have to do? We have to intervene. That was why we actually sent her for medical evaluation to an independent body, not in the Nigerian Army any longer. And that evaluation came up with a report. The military police report, investigation report also came up. That is why we are at this juncture today, to let Nigerians know the truth, the facts about this matter. Thank you.
James, James, why?
If you recall, in the course of this press briefing, I mentioned that we considered her health situation. There is what we call medical in confidence. I don't know if there's anybody from medical here. There's what we call medical in confidence. We have exercised very serious restraint and decorum by not throwing the document out to the public. However, the National Hospital is a very well-known establishment to all of you. And if you want to conduct further investigation, please, you are free, you are at liberty to visit the National Hospital. We have conducted our investigations, and we have brought the findings of our investigation before this press briefing this morning. So if you want to conduct further investigation, please, you're at liberty to do that.
Last question from...
Medical in confidence makes it impossible for you to bring the document and say, this is her medical report from the hospital. We can't do that. It's against the ethics of the profession. Okay? It's just like you visit a hospital for consultation and all that, and the doctor throws out your whatever investigation you went there to do to the public about your health. That is why we have exercised very serious restraint and decorum about this matter. We have been very careful to ensure that we handle it very professionally. Solomon, you are not paying attention, and you asked me a question. Okay. Established code of conduct. We have rules and regulations that guide personnel of the Nigerian Army. Once you commence your training at the Depot Nigerian Army as a soldier or at the Nigerian Defense Academy as an officer, you are exposed to those regulations, and you begin to imbibe them right from the onset of your training. So there is no soldier, there is no officer that does not understand the implications of sexual harassment or intimidation in the service. Sorry? The penalty, legal service, can you please shed light on that? We are here to explain to you. We told you how it started, the saga. We told you how we had intervened. Okay, so she was never abandoned. The Nigerian Army does not dry zone in the sun. We have never abandoned our personnel. Ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye was never abandoned. If you listen to what I said, you will find out that we had intervened, ensuring that, okay, medically we tried to administer treatments, to give her treatments, we let her access treatments and all that. She had misinterpreted all that. Okay? And in the course of coming to the service, yes, she was okay, but while in the service, she became ill. We have had medical evacuations severally. Many personnel have been flown overseas for treatment, even within this country. I recall that's an ex-soldier, the late soldier, that was flown from Kaduna, brought to Abuja here. When I got to know about it, over 17 million was paid for his treatment. So the Nigerian Army, particularly the current leadership, had been very, very serious in intervening in the welfare of personnel, particularly when it concerns issues of medical conditions. So let me make it abundantly very clear that ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye was never abandoned. That is why it took this long before we got to this point. And I just told you that even when she claimed that her salaries were not paid, her salaries were paid. We had the proofs. The minister came around. We showed her evidence of payment of her salary. And that shut down that argument. And then we proceeded to the next step. Okay, let's establish the medical condition of this person. And then we said, okay, we are not going to do it ourselves because we know people will say we're biased. So go to an independent body. That body, that establishment is there. And I've just told you that you're at liberty to go to that body. Okay? We're not trying to stigmatize anybody here. Rather, we've been very empathetic about the condition of ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye, and that is why it had looked like the army had been taciturn about this incident. We need to understand that. She is one of our own. And we feel that, okay, given these conditions, we had to pay this, pay that, even where she did not qualify. We had to look at it. She didn't serve 10 years. For you to be able to access pension, you must serve 10 years in service. She served only 5 years. And we said, okay, because of her condition, we can't just throw her out. We have to show that we care about our personnel. And that was why we interceded in that direction. We need to understand it. So please, if you have the impression that ex-Private Ruth Ogunleye was abandoned, I think it's a complete misconception. Thank you. And for those who are coming in, we assure them, because we have, what do we call it? Appropriate recruitment process or procedure, so to speak. Medical evaluation is one very important aspect of that process. So you're medically evaluated. I was medically evaluated some over 30 years ago. at the Nigerian Defense Academy. And I believe every officer and soldier that you find in this hall went through that due process. But if in the course of service, this infirmity comes, what do? We should be thrown out? No. I don't think the army will be as reckless as that. It has never been. The army would rather look into that situation and see how it could intervene. That has been the situation. So we enjoin all those who want to join the Nigerian army. You have so many welfare packages. Loans are there, housing, accommodation there. So what are you, salaries are paid as at when due. Just like we have done for Ruth Ogunleye, if in the course of service you run into one of these issues or conditions or infirmity, be sure that the army will appropriately intervene. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We are not going to stop her freedom, a fundamental human right of accessing the social media. We're not going to do that. That's why we are bringing this issue back to you. She called on Nigerians to intervene. And we have also come to call on Nigerians to do what? To intervene on behalf of the Nigerian army. We cannot say because somebody had come up to make allegations, we should swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Anybody could make allegations. I remember in the Bible, Potiphar's wife falsely accusing Joseph of what? Of adultery that he did not commit. And he was sent to prison. But because of God's intervention, Joseph came out of that prison. So we're not saying that we are going to deny ex-private Ruth Ogunleye her fundamental human right of accessing social media or any platform she wants to access. No, we're not going to do that. But what we are saying is that Nigerians must listen as a matter of understanding. Listen to your troops. Listen to the Nigerian army. The Nigerian army is the people's army. She has accused us, yes. We haven't said we wouldn't listen to allegations. We listened to allegations. We told Nigerians that we were going to get back to you. And today, that is exactly what we are doing. So we should go back to the media. You all have your social media handles. Go back and tell Nigerians what we have, tell the world what we have said. And if you want to conduct further investigation, I've told you, the establishment, the National Hospital is there. Go there and find out what happened. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for being part of this. Thank you so much, gentlemen.